Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. We are on the air. This is Thesis. 3, 2, 1. We are on the air. This is Thesis. Everything is everything. I am your host, Jay Marie. How's it going out there, folks? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for showing up and hanging out with us today. Coming to you live from Zombieland. Yes, sir. Well, it's been a minute. I've been a little busy. But I want to thank you for showing up and checking in on us today. And I hope you find yourself well and safe and healthy. Well, so the reason it took me a while to get back here with you guys is because I've been building a little studio. So I would, because I didn't have the permanent studio set up, and I decided a couple of things came up. So I decided that I was gonna go ahead and build it, get it out of the way. But it took me a little over a month. So, and I actually built it myself, all of it. It was quite an experience. It's nothing I had ever done. I had never really taken on a project like that before. And we're basically done. We're just doing some finishing up some of the decorating, all the painting, everything's done, and we're ready to put in some work. So I am here. I am excited. I am happy about my new place here. We're gonna be putting in more work, and that's why I made this. So so you know how we like to do things around here. As I was building, as I was working on this project, I started thinking of what it was what would be like the next topic or the next subject or subject matter that we were going to talk about. And the experience itself of building this place, this room, my studio, my office, whatever you want to call it, it really helped me focus in on, because I had an idea of what we needed to talk about, but the delivery system, right? Like, how am I going to deliver this message, right? So thankfully, this experience kind of helped guide me to that point to where, okay, I know how we're going to talk about what we need to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump right in. As building something like this, I didn't have too much experience. I used to do some remodeling work, and I know how to patch stuff up and paint, and we've done some woodwork. And one summer I worked with a guy who did framing, and so this is not my expertise. I'm not a builder. I'm not anything like that, right? But planning the building of something, right? A room, a shack, a room, a garage size room, or a house, right? It takes a lot of planning. There's a lot of stuff that goes into before you even start, like before I even laid down the first, rock on the floor or whatever. There had to be a lot of planning to involved in it, right? And I had already kind of made up my mind, because a few things came up with the garage area that I was using. It's gonna be used for something else now. So as that was getting figured out, I started thinking, okay, I'm gonna need to make this space, so I won't, so I'll be able to work out of my own private space without no interruptions and not having to share it, or just so I can provide a more quality product, and I need a quiet space for my working and all that stuff, right? So it took it took some planning. Once I decided and figured out that we needed to build this, I had to figure out what part of the yard I was gonna build it on. The level of the ground, is it leveled or not? What am I going to use? Am I going to use like pier and beam? Is it going to be concrete? Is it going to be rock? How big is the room going to be? How about the roof? Is it going to be pointy? Is it going to be, what I'm saying? There's all these things to take into consideration before I even start buying the first piece of wood, right? A lot of planning goes into building something. A room, right? But a lot of things, a company, a business, a building, a lot of, building something takes a lot of planning, especially if you want it to last long and to to do what it needs to do. Like the roof has to be secure. The walls has to be leveled. The foundation has to be secure. All these things that has to be planned ahead of time to in order to save future problems, right? If you make sure that these things are done correctly ahead of time, then it'll save a lot of grief and issues later. So there's ways of doing things that are proper in building something like a room, an office, building this studio. There's a lot of things that had to be done. You know, that have to be done in a proper manner if I want this place to last long. You know what I'm saying? If I want this place, the walls to withstand the weather and the roof to withstand the weather and whatever, it needs to be painted with certain paint. The roof needs to be done a certain way. The walls, all these things that have to be done in a proper manner. There's a correct way of doing things, right? So like I don't, like I said, I'm not a builder. I had to look some stuff up and whatever, but you're rugged and you got grit and all right, let's get some tools and you kind of know how to use tools and all that stuff. Okay, you can look at videos and it'll teach you how to figure out some angles and everything else is pretty basic. It just takes a lot of work. Like it took me, I have a job that I do Monday through Friday, you know. So I had to do this on the weekend. So I was working my regular job, but then on the weekends I was building, and then during the week I was building after work. And so I've been working my butt off to build this studio for the past month and a half, right? And then weeks before that started the planning and the calculating on what's going to be needed and how much is going to be spent and all this, right? So all this took some time and some planning, and it had to be done in stages and properly and so forth, right? Este, so I don't know those things like a builder would come and know exactly how to do it real quick. So it took some work, it took some time for me to learn. Now it's on an incline, so I had to figure out the leveling of the ground and the foundation, and then what am I going to use, right? So the foundation is the first starting point, is where everything's going to be built from. What kind of, I decided to use like a little pier and beam system, and I made sure that where the posts are, or whatever, there's rock and it's dug deep and everything, and that it's all nice and leveled, and the water goes around because it's on a little incline. So I made it to where the water goes around, and so planning ahead on the foundation itself to protect it and to keep it leveled and to keep it straight, and that it's not going to be moved by the water, because where our yard is, it's on a hill. It's kind of coming on the bottom of a hill. I'm sorry, we're on a hill, but the yards behind us are a little higher, so the water drains towards our way. So what I did was thought about that and prepared for that, to make the water go around the room. So that took a lot of planning and preparation. A lot of work went into that, right? So now it's built. Okay, good. We did it properly. The outside is properly. It's gonna need some. It's gonna take maintenance, right? If I want it to last longer, to last years and years, I gotta keep an eye out on things. I gotta every once in a while check the roof and the paint outside, make sure it's not cracking or drying, and the wood where you can see these things. So every often there has to be like I gotta stay vigilant, right? If I want this place to last long, I have to stay vigilant on what's necessary, what it needs. I gotta keep an eye out, for any bugs or anything like that, so I can spray some pesticide or whatever needs to be done, right? So if I want to preserve or conserve, to make this last longer, if I want to conserve it, I have to do some work, right? If I just sit here and forget all about the outside and forget about the whatever and never pay attention to anything, then it might fall into disrepair. It might fall into disrepair at some point, right? Because nobody's keeping an eye on it. right? Things come up sometimes, like at the house or whatever. So things come up where I have to, if I want this place to last long and stay, you know, functioning properly, I have to be vigilant and I have to do work. Now, now you can learn, right? I can know how to paint and fix and all that. So when something happens, I can do it myself. Or I can hire somebody. Let's say if we don't know how to do something, I was going to hire somebody to build this studio, uh, but I decided to do it myself, not because you know, some I just wanted to save some money, so I decided to do it myself. Now, when we know how to fix stuff, when we know how to do things ourselves, that skill helps us in the long run. It saves us time, it saves us money, because when something happens, when something gets broke or needs to be fixed, you can jump on it right away. There's no needing to call a service repairman or wait for this or that, because you know how to do some of these things, right? So the more equipped I am with tools and how to fix and all that, then I'll be better off, fixing, when something happens to this place. If it ever needs work or whatever, then I'll be able to do it, right? But if not, then we delegate outward. And then in that when something like that happens, then I have to put my trust in the expert, right? Like, I was going to pay somebody to build it. I had to, if I would have hired somebody, I would have had to put my trust in them, that they were going to do it properly or the way I want it or whatever, right? But doing it myself, I saw every step of the way that things were done the way I needed them to be done. And it's not because like a trust issue. It just is what it is, right? So when you know how to do things, you can see it, the process itself, and you know exactly what needs to be done, when it's done, whatever, right? So one person, like, I can manage this. It's not a big room. It's 150 square feet, let's say. It has a pretty high pitched ceiling, like a little, steep, like a church almost. But I can maintain this place myself. I can keep an eye on it. You know what I'm saying? I can conserve it myself, because I got tools and I know how to paint and I can do it. And it's not that big. So this is a one person, one person. I can maintain it. I can conserve it, but I gotta be vigilant, right? Over the summer, with the weather and the cold and the snow, the heat, whatever. These things change and it affects, paints or whatever. So I have to keep an eye on all that stuff, so I can stay ahead of any damage or anything that might occur, right? Now, so that's like a micro. This is tiny. It's just like a little tiny house, right? So that's just like a micro scale. Right now, let's look at a house, like a bigger house, two-story house, whatever, your family. You know what I'm saying? That takes a little more work, because it's bigger. There's a lot more stuff going on there. There's AC units and ducts, and with the AC ducts and electricity and plumbing and all that stuff, right? There's a lot more stuff that needs to be kept an eye on, because it's a bigger house. It's a bigger structure. There's yard maintenance. There's all these things that need to be kept an eye on something bigger, right? So this is like a micro, and then we go like to the next level, a bigger macro. That's not macro, but a little bit bigger. A home, one person could probably, depending on the size of the home and the skills of the person, they might be able to do about 50% of the maintenance and stuff like that. But some stuff takes professionals, the plumbers that need to go underneath the house or dig and through the concrete or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So as the structure gets bigger, it has more things to look out for. The roof is way bigger, so inspecting the roofs and the square footage of the house is way bigger. Underneath the house, if you have crawl spaces, if you have attic spaces, there's all these things, more work to keep, to preserve that house, right? Two-story home with family, whatever. That's gonna take a little more work than, let's say, this tiny little house that I have here, right? It's gonna take more work, and so it might need a few more people, right? The main guy, the dad or whatever, who's fixing and who knows how to do some things, but sometimes he's gonna have to delegate to a few more people. So a house might take a few people, not just one, maybe two or three or four or five, to kind of maintain and to preserve and to keep this place, working, functioning properly, and securely, and doing what it needs to do, right? So there's more responsibility in the house, in maintaining a house, conserving, preserving a house. There's more stuff to take into consideration, to take into thought. I said, so now let's go a little bit bigger than that. Let's like a downtown building, right? But you see them buildings downtown. They have, I don't know, depending on the size, they have hundreds of you know people who are renting their offices and leasing their offices or whatever, right? They have maintenance, they have security. There's way more plumbing, there's way more electricity, there's way more bigger machines that do the AC. There's all these things, right? So a building like downtown, the hotel or whatever tower, takes a lot more uh, upkeep, a lot more responsibility, and a lot more people to to maintain it, to make sure it's functioning and running properly, maintaining all the systems and the elevators and the whatever, right? Because there's so many now. There's like from this little bitty tiny house to a building, that's a thousand times multiplied from the things that I have to do here, right? So it's gonna take way more people, let's say, in that building to run it, to maintain it, to make sure everything's running good and everything. A lot more people, and there's gonna be a lot of delegated power because of how big this building is. There's so many levels and so many different, and in each level there's plumbing and electricity. So there's so many levels, and then in each level there's so many things that go on each level. And then the management of the people who are leasing or whatever. So there's all kinds of things that have to go on in the, let's say, the managing and the preserving and the conserving of this huge building, right? Now, so we have different departments that have to be heads of, right? There's a head of security, right? Hey, I'm gonna hire this company to do the security because they're experts and they know how to install the cameras and run whatever. They're experts in security. I'm gonna hire these people because they're experts in the maintenance side of things. You know what I'm saying? So there's gonna be delegation of power in different departments of running this building, right? Now there's a lot of responsibility, like I said. So when we're thinking about security, right? Security, the cameras, and security guards that walk through the building and secure the parking lot and all these things for the safety of the people who live there, right? Or work there. Instead, now, if you were to hire somebody, if you were to put somebody in that position who didn't know what they were doing, um, or was incompetent at what they do, you put you put the people at risk who work there, who live there, who whatever, right? So the responsibility that comes with uh, uh, running this building, protecting this building, conserving this thing, takes a lot of responsibility and wisdom in putting the right people in the right places. That guy that does security, that person, that company, they need to know what they're doing. They need to be, hey, I'm running this down. I want them to be proven to me. I want them to prove that they're gonna know what they're doing and that they're gonna protect my people who work here and all these other things, right? So each department has to have a solid, person running it who has the experience of that department, right? So you wouldn't put the head of a janitorial in charge of security, right? That wouldn't make sense because the expertise and what they do is what's going to help in maintaining this building. The security people are going to do security. The maintenance people are going to do maintenance. You know what I'm saying? All these other things, the plumbers, the electricians, they're all going to do what they have to do. They have responsibilities and that have been delegated to them in order to keep this multi-level, tens of thousands of moving parts, machine working and moving, in a good manner, right? Elevators stop working. Oh, all these things. So you know what I'm saying? So you want the right people in the right positions that you can count on, that you can trust, that prove themselves that they're experts and they're gonna do, what they have been hired to. They're gonna make sure the departments are, you know what I'm saying? As the, or else if not, then the building, like the little house or whatever, will fall into disrepair, and the things will stop working if nobody keeping an eye on the elevators, and they stop working, and no, and the people in charge of the elevator department or whatever don't send out for the stuff to get fixed, or they don't have somebody in house who knows how to fix these things. You know what I'm saying? It creates problems, and then it interferes and interrupts in the regular order and the regular working of this building and what it does. You know what I'm saying? So so it's important in, like, for instance, starting with me, the individual. I have to do the work. I'm gonna have to do the work. I'm gonna have to stay vigilant. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on the outside, and I'm gonna have to do these things in order for this to last long. In order for it to do what it's supposed to do, to give me shelter and to give me a workspace, I'm gonna have to do the work. Same with you at home, with your house, at your home and your family, your two-story house, or at your business. Same concept. There's things that have to be looked after: employees, payroll, vehicles, tools, whatever. There's stuff that has to be maintained. And then when you delegate authority to your workers or whatever, you're gonna want to pick the right person, who's proven themselves, right? Who's shown that, hey, I can trust this guy with taking the truck full of tools home. That he's gonna protect it. That not only that he's not gonna steal it, but that he's gonna make sure it's protected. There's a lot of responsibility, right? So across the board, these things work the way they do, right? In business, at home, keeping an eye on the building that we were talking about a minute ago, the tower with the, thousand, different companies and whatever, like all these moving parts, right? All these things, they work the same. Even like stuff like our family, and these, whatever, it has to be maintained, right? Things have to be, what I'm saying? You got to keep an eye out for things, for cracks in the foundation. You know what I'm saying? Like at the house, if you see a crack in the foundation, all of a sudden, oh damn, you're gonna want to, you know, get that looked at real quick, or fix it, or figure out why is that happening, right? So preserving, conserving, conserving this the way this thing is built. It'll last longer. It takes work, and it not only takes work, but I'll be better off if I knew how to do the work, right? If I know how to build and how to use tools and all these things, it'll be better for me, you know. And as the system gets bigger, as the home gets bigger, as the building gets bigger, there's a lot more responsibility. But it's the same like with me, the one person multiplied times 500, employees of this building that they have to maintain or whatever, right? But all following a certain, what I'm saying, things have to be done in a proper manner. Just like when we tried to, just like when we built this, just like when I built this, as that things have to be done in a proper manner. Same with everything else. They have to be done in a proper, orderly fashion in order for it to be preserved, in order for it to be conserved. So that building, that system, that house, that business, whatever, can last longer. If you put the right people in the right positions and you do the work to stay vigilant and in what needs to be fixed and what needs to be worked on. It will make this thing, my tiny home here, your home, your big home, the building downtown, your business, your family, your group, your corporate group or your nonprofit group or whatever. It'll extend the life of it. It'll conserve it. It'll preserve it. It'll extend the life of it because you're doing things in a manner that is proven to, if you do things properly and you do things right and you stay vigilant, then you will preserve and conserve these things. but it takes work, and you have to know some things. Okay, so that's what I do, right? That's what I've done. That's what I chose to do here. Now, let's take this whole same system of building and structure and maintenance and all that, and let's just blow it up even bigger, right? Like, let's look at our country, right? There's over 300 million people, 50 states. The landmass is tremendous. Thousands and thousands of cities, metropolitan areas, farms, all kinds of things going on, right? There's millions and millions of moving parts. In many, just like that building that has all the levels, well, we have like, a bunch of levels, 50 levels, right? Like 50 states. But in each level, there's like 5 million moving parts. You know what I'm saying? So that building that we're looking at now, that edifice, that structure, that thing that was built through a lot of hard work, through a lot of thought process, just like the planning that went into building this, and the planning that goes into building the home that you live in, and the planning that goes into building that big ass building downtown. You know, a lot of planning went into building this thing, this nation, right? And in order for it to last, to be preserved, to be conserved, there has to be a lot of work to be. There's a lot of work to be done, you know, because there's so many moving parts. Now, okay, so you can see where we're going at. Okay, I'm a conservative. Okay, that's what we do here. This is the life that I've decided to live, because this is where I ended up after studying all that I've studied, and after studying theology and all these things. This is where you end up when you search for truth, when you search for wisdom, when you search for when you dig in history, you become conservative, because you want to preserve, you want to conserve. I want to conserve this nation for my grandchildren, and for their children and their grandchildren, for future generations, for newcomers, for people who want to enjoy the freedoms and the liberties that we've all enjoyed for many years. I want to preserve that. I want to conserve that. So I'm a conservative. And I decided that I need to do work if I want to preserve this nation, I need to do work, right? And it's not just producing out there with what we do with the little company and all that we do out there, and servicing the clients and all that. I decided that I needed to do more, so I started doing things right in the hood, and like with the show and all these things, right? So I was called to something like, if I want to help do my part in conserving this nation and preserving this nation, then I have to do work, and I have to do more work. And I felt like I was called out a little bit, like, hey, let's do some more. So I've studied and studied, and like, as those of you who've been listening to us for a while now, then you know where we're coming from. And I don't come here every day and talk about politics and stuff, because I've decided that my whole thing is based in the roots and the knowledge and the wisdom and the fundamental principles of law, of philosophy, of religion. That's what I've decided that I was gonna focus on. Because the daily politics stuff, it's okay and it works, but it gets tired. It gets tiring. There's 1,000 channels on YouTube, all talking about the same thing that happened today. 1,000 different personalities giving us their opinion about so and so that happened. And in each channel, and then there's thousands of channels doing reaction videos of the same. 20 channels doing reaction videos of the same video. These things, like, we're almost like we're becoming what we've been fighting against. Wisdom, knowledge, the studying of law and history. Okay, damn, it's kind of boring. Yeah, because it's not that fun. You can't squeeze all this wisdom. You can't squeeze all this wisdom into a 30-second clip on TikTok or a reel or anything like that. I hear people that I follow on YouTube or whatever, and they complain that they can't get on TikTok because they're conservative or whatever. Man, TikTok, those places that we have much more work to do. Our work isn't can't be squeezed into a 3 second. They count 3 seconds as a view on TikTok. On the reels on Facebook, they count 3 seconds as a view. This message of conservatism, of the law, of history, cannot be squeezed into 30 seconds or a minute video. It takes work. Yes, it's kind of boring. I heard Tim Pool talking about how everybody at TPUSA was wearing ties, and damn, they were all square. Well, damn, this stuff, we can have fun on the side, but the work is work. You know what I'm saying? And another thing that I want to point out too, our movement has grown over the past several years. If you follow politics and if you follow, voting numbers and those type of things, you know that millions of people have moved over to like our side of the aisle. There's a lot of newcomers to our side of the aisle, right? The conservative side, the Republican side, because we are a republic. So conservatives fall, we gather under the Republican flag because, we understand that America is a republic with 50 states and they have their laws. And so we understand that, right? So that's the banner that we decided to. But we're conservatives. We're trying to conserve and preserve the freedoms and the structure of the government that has been enshrined in our Constitution, in our Revolution, the things that in the Declaration of Independence. That's what we're trying to preserve. That's what I'm trying to preserve. That's what the work that I'm trying to do, and the work that a lot of the people out there are trying to do, is preserve these things that have been gifted to us by our forefathers, by those who came before us, who planned this thing, who built this thing, who thought like chess. What if this? What if that? They thought things out really well to where we have the liberties that we do today. And it is our duty, I chose that it is my duty, and it is our duty as citizens, as patriots, to do our part in however we can in preserving that for our future generations, for the future generations, the children and grandchildren. Right? So one thing that I hear is a lot of people kind of, they've it's almost like they've tried to make the word conservative a nasty word. Like, no, I'm not a conservative. You hear a lot of people say, no, I'm not a conservative, but I'll defend the Second Amendment, and I'll defend states' rights and this and that, but I'm not a conservative. Damn, well, hold them up, bro. If you stand for the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, and you every day you work towards preserving those the Second Amendment, the freedom of speech and association and all these things, then you are a conservative. Conservatism is not a political party. It's a way of life. It's waking up in the morning and just knowing that you're going to do good, that you're going to produce, that you're going to be the best person that you could be in the neighborhood, at work, at home, because that's what helps keep this thing going. We see societal breakdown in certain cities and certain nations, and we can see how it happens, and we know how it happens because the psychological sciences have told us. We see it. We know how it happens. We have technology now. We've been able to keep an eye on in the 20th century. We've been keeping an eye on it. We know what happens. We know what behaviors, we know what types of behaviors in politics or through rulers or in communities or races, what we think about ourselves, if we think we're too much or whatever. That's where a lot of these problems begin, right? So we know that in order for my neighborhood to be well, for my family to be well, for my extended family to be well, is I have to be a certain, I have to be a certain person. I have to work hard. I have to be loyal and trustworthy to my family, and I have to be present, right? I have to work hard so I can earn a living to save and to build and to fix, so I won't have to depend on the government or ask for help from people or whatever. I'm self-sufficient, right? We want to be independent. We want to be self-sufficient. We want, if I need something, if I can fix it, then I'm gonna fix it, right? That's what the spirit of a conservative is. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about politics. It's about preservation of our way of life, our way of thinking. That we have that thing that we call the American spirit. There's something there to that. The American is a different breed. We have liberty, and but we have grit also. You know what I'm saying? They see us as cowboys, and yeah, we are cowboys because we like to, we like to fight. You know what I'm saying? We like to fight and we like to act a fool. But uh, uh, all of that will come in handy in when it's needed. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at like a government, our nation, right? We start thinking of the government like the building. It has different departments. It has different things that need to be filled by different people, right? So if we use the idea of the building, if we put incompetent people in certain areas that require, knowledge and wisdom and strength and, grit and, to run the department of whatever, I'm saying? You got to be tough. You got to be smart. You got to be bold because there's, the enemy or whatever, right? As the You have to put competent people in these positions in order for these things to work properly, because then they're gonna delegate other departments and power below them to others. That's that. But the way our system is that we participate in that delegation because the way we vote and all that stuff. So that has a lot to do with the preservation of our nation, of our system, is how you out there, how you vote, if you vote, but not only voting, but your participation in society, your production at work, your ability to get along with your neighbors or your friends at church or the strangers on the road. You know what I'm saying? There's a duty that comes with, preservation of this nation, conservation of this nation. There's a duty that comes that we all have to, that each and every one of us has to willfully be a participant in. Because for too long, we, conservatives have just kind of sat back, and, oh, they're, whatever they're doing in college or the news or the big tech companies or the whatever. We just, kind of kind of just leave me alone type thing. But that's like me just sitting back and not being vigilant on what needs to be done in order to keep this, place working properly. And so that's a duty that we all have. We have to be vigilant. And there's thousands and thousands of things that need to be done, and thousands of different ways and things that how we can participate in that vigilance, in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our counties, with the way we vote and all that stuff. There's a lot of ways that we can participate in that system. Now, we don't all have to be called. We don't have to be called into public service. I'm not talking about public service. Yeah, some of you do have that call. You do have that feeling that you're gonna, you feel like, man, maybe I should run for school board, and maybe I should run for office, local office. And we do need that. If you're called, if you feel a calling, if you feel a desire in your heart to change and to help your community, because you want to spread these conservative values inside your county, inside your city department, inside your school board, then that's what we need to do. There's a lot of you who are called to do that, and you should do that. Now, there's people. One thing that I used to hear a lot is like, what do we do? What can we do? Someone should do something. And that's one of the things, that someone should do something. No, you should do something. If you feel that somebody should do something, figure out what it is that you are good at. Figure out what it is that you can add to the conversation. There's artists, there's musicians, there's producers. There's a million podcasts out there, all right? So, it's kind of like, hey, but if you have something new to add, then great, you know? But we have to participate in this, but without, like, this isn't about money. For me, this has never been about money. Like, I make plenty of money with what I do, so this has never been about, oh, one day I'm gonna be monetized. And sure, fine, if it happens, it happens, but this is not what it's about. So, I'm not going to fall into the pattern that channels that try to get monetized quickly, they fall into the pattern where they're dropping 4 or 5 videos a day and this and that. I'm not going to do that. This is not what this is about. Conservatism, philosophy, wisdom, history, you can't, that's not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? We have, these, we have the Daily Wire, we have PragerU, we have the Blaze TV, these groups and these people who decided that, hey, we need to build our own thing, and that was the right plan for them. The Blaze started years ago. We need to build our own thing, so they built a media empire. The Daily Wire is doing that. PragerU, everybody's starting to do that now. Everybody's starting to get their own channels, and you sign up for subscription, and it's just like, it's about, it's like almost about money now, And this is not what it's about. Conservation and preservation is not about money. This is not about, we're going to make a buck. You know what I'm saying? Now, sometimes there's opportunities, great. And if you can make $1, great. But that's not what this is about. Signing up memberships and that's not what all this is about. We can't lose track of what it is that we set out to do. Like, I'm from the old school, like, not that old school, but, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the Tea Party revolution. You know what I'm saying? Mark Levin sent me Liberty and Tyranny when it first came out. And that book propelled me in the path that I ended up now. It's always been like, this is about politics. What we're doing here is about politics, the polity, the polis, the polis, the people. That's what this is about. Is for you out there. The messaging, the messages, the stories that we tell. It's about, you. It's about us. We talk about death and history and all these things, religions and all these things. Why? Because there's ways to get messages across. There's ways to tell these stories without me having to come here every day and talk about what happened in Washington D.C. and what they said and on CNN, and did you hear what this guy said, and did you hear what that person said. And we're becoming almost like clownish. Wisdom isn't clownish. Conservation isn't clownish. You know what I'm saying? The Art of War, Gulag Archipelago, Frederick Bastiat, The Law, you know what I'm saying? Aristotle, Ethics. These things aren't memes. Yeah, you could take a few quotes or whatever, but you can't squeeze that into a meme or into a 3-second view or a 30-second TikTok video. No, this takes work. It takes time. I mean, damn, the Gulag Archipelago is 3 volumes, like 2,000 pages long. Tell me you're having fun when you're reading that. Tell me you're having fun. I actually do have fun understanding and reading Plato's Republic, because I've read it and listened to it so many times. This is my absolute favorite book. The scriptures, the Bible, all of these things. This is the ammunition that we need as conservatives. We need to know the law. We need to know history. We need to know some psychology. We need to know, what religion says, not just We are Christians and not just the scripture. But what do other religions say? You know what I'm saying? Can that stuff help guide us in a proper direction? You know what I'm saying? There's fundamental ideals and principles that are laid out there that we should be able to reach for and go for, and that's where I come from, and that's where I'm. Mark Levin is. I consider him my teacher. Jordan Peterson. I consider him my teacher also. Like Jordan Peterson, for instance, he says I'm not a conservative, but hold on, you know what you do, you study all of these different things. He's not just a psychologist. He studies history and the Gulag Archipelago and all these things. And he wants to preserve what is, what's right. Yes, if those are the things that you want to do, you are trying to conserve what is right, what is proper. You are a conservative. It's not a bad word. It's not something that to people for us to be ashamed of. No, no, no. I'm not a conservative, but I do support the Second Amendment, and I support free speech, and I don't like what's going on with some of these corporations. And well, damn. So you're just not that label. You are, because you're trying to preserve, you're trying to conserve this structure that was built many years ago, that was planned, that was fought for, and that people died for, to preserve and to keep this thing going and working properly. If you want, if what you're doing is that to preserve it and that's what you are. You are a conservative, and there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done to keep this building, to keep this edifice running properly. There's a lot of levels, and you can find your place within this structure, and how you can be not just another cog, another spoke in the wheel. No, so you can actually be, something that someone who's actually gonna make a difference. And again, this isn't about fame. Don't do something for fame. Don't do something don't do something for money, monetization or whatever. No, preservation takes work, takes time. That it's like it's a never-ending thing, and we have to prepare ourselves by learning, by reading, by studying, by fixing ourselves till we need to be healthy. We need to be wise. We need to seek wisdom. We want to be able to defend our homes and our properties and our neighbors. There's a lot of work that goes into preserving this building. A lot of work. And we all have our part to do. And you can find that part. You have talents, you have skills, Sometimes it's like maybe you've sat back long enough. Maybe there's something out there that's going on that's calling you, that's saying, damn, maybe it's time for me to get involved. I'm saying, because there's a battle out there, there's a battle out there for the future and the preservation of what we are, our system of being, our way of life, our liberties. There's a battle to preserve that constantly, day after day, year after year. The opposition, they haven't stopped fighting since the early 1920s. They've been fighting for over 100 years. So the fight never ends. But our numbers are growing. But welcome to the party, right? Welcome to the show, right? But there's a lot of work, man. This isn't a game, man. This isn't, going to a city hall meeting and rapping and 30-second click video. This is not what this is about. This takes work. This takes a lot of work. Internally, externally, but with each other also. The preservation of our way of life. It's a worthy mission. You know what I'm saying? Because your grandchildren and your great grandchildren, if we don't do the work that needs to be done, we might be, saying to them, man, I remember when we used to be able to say these things, or I remember when we used to, so liberty isn't free. It costs a lot. It costs a lot of work. It costs lives. It costs, you know, individuals doing their duty to preserve and to help their family, because this is what this is. This is our family, and we have to do the work. And that is what I'm gonna do, and that is what we should all do. And we should start working harder. I'm going to do. This is what. That's why I built this studio, because I'm dedicating myself to work even harder, to put out more content. But again, this is not about fame, fortune, money. No, this is about us. This is about you. This is about us having these conversations together about things that are important within ourselves, within our families, and within our communities. We don't sit around. We don't sit around. We're not slothful. We don't sit around. We don't blame. We don't say, oh, look, it's somebody else's fault. No, we get to work. I'm tired. I busted. I don't even know how much money. I stopped counting on the money. I stopped counting on how many hours I've worked. Like, I am beat, but it's worth it. It's worth it because I made this, and in doing so, it's gonna help me, get to work even. Shit. Uh, I need a break, and here I am. Like, we're gonna work even harder, but no, we don't stop working. We never stop working. That's what it's about. That's what conservatism is about. If you are a conservative, you want to preserve, we don't stop working. The farmer doesn't stop working. The trucker doesn't stop working. The police department doesn't stop working. They work. They work. Everybody works. We need to do our part too. That means working, 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 and educating ourselves with the proper ammunition for the ideological battles that we are engulfed in right now. But it's not only right now, it's constantly going. Books like 1984 and Animal Farm and Gulag Archive, those aren't, you can't, it's not a meme. It's not a meme, okay? You can't just quote and that's it. Learn these things, know them, teach them, be them, absorb them, and they will teach you. Things will jump out at you to say, "Damn, that's exactly what's going on right now." Almost like prophetic, almost even. You know what I'm saying? So that's the work that we need to do. And I'm going to keep doing it. And I hope that you keep doing it. And I hope that you enjoyed this little conversation that we had. Bro, like, for real, I am so tired. I am beat. I don't know. You can probably see it in my face. I'm blowed, but, you can probably see it in my face, my eyes. I'm tired, but we're basically done, so I can rest now. I'm taking a little trip to the casino this weekend to celebrate the building and the finishing of my studio. And I want to thank you guys for your patience also, because it's been a minute and I don't like being away too long. But my promise to you guys is that I will be back here very soon, and very soon probably means like 2 weeks or less. So please keep an eye out and stay tuned. And I want to thank you for being with us today. And if you are a new listener and you like what you hear, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on Spotify. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your friends. Also, you're going to want to follow us on Facebook, because when I am not on the podcast or when I am not on the YouTube, doing, film or whatever, I am active on Facebook with a lot of, motivational stuff and quotes and wisdom and, well, all that sort of stuff. So you're going to want to follow us there. Thesis, Everything is Everything podcast page. What else? That's it. I really appreciate you guys. Like, I really do, for your patience, for your time that you spent here with us. It means a lot to me. Just sitting here with, it means a lot. I love being here. I love doing this, and we're gonna be doing it more because there's a lot of work to be done, and I have a lot of plans for some. I have some plans for some more documentaries that I'm gonna work on. So we're gonna be doing a lot of things. This is more than just about the philosophy side. This is about culture also. So we're gonna help do our part in guiding the culture and changing the culture in a proper manner. All right, guys. Well, I love you guys. I want you to guys in the meantime to stay safe. Don't forget to tell your friends if you like what you heard. Hit the subscribe button. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, educate yourself, arm yourself with the wisdom and the knowledge that's out there for us to, it can only help us. All right, as they work hard every day towards something, you know, stay healthy, stay safe. And that's it. Reach out if you ever have any questions. Please reach out. Whatever. I'm here. All right, guys. I love you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I will see you guys soon. All right. That's it. Peace out, folks.
This is Thesis.